about crafting your spiritual path. Now, throughout my life, I've kind of crafted my own form of spirituality. This can be very daunting. A lot of the time, it's comforting to have everything laid out before you, exactly as you should do it. But for some of us, we want to craft our own spiritual path. We want to take different parts from different traditions and combine them to create a path that is all our own, but more importantly, completely familiar. We shouldn't have to fall into the slots and boxes that different traditions, whether they be religious or spiritual, want us to fall into. Instead, we should allow ourselves pure freedom of spirituality. If you are drawn to this spirit or that spirit, this god or that goddess, feel free to craft your own path. Feel free to craft your own relationship with those gods or spirits. If you feel like you want to offer something to a particular spirit or god because it came to you just on the spur of the moment, feel free to do so. You don't have to follow the invocations that other people have written. You don't have to follow the sacrificial rites that other people have written. You don't have to follow the books that other people have written. This is especially true with religion, but I doubt many people who follow major religions will watch this. But do not allow someone's rules to get between you and your form of the source, or forms of the source. Or even if you don't believe that everything is a part of the same, essential substance or came from the same source, allow yourself to relate to the different parts in your own way. Now let me give an example. Last night I performed an Odin ritual that just kind of came to me on the spur of the moment. When I was in the supermarket, for some reason, it came to me that Odin wanted jalapenos and ginger from me as a sacrifice, as an offering. And, you won't find that in any book. You won't find that in any, culture that works with Odin, Woden, or any of his many names, Alfadir, Wordwolf, Grimnir. You will not find anything written that says, give him jalapenos and ginger. But that's what I did, so I bought that. And then I also, serendipitously, I was like, okay, I need to create a bonfire for Odin. And I say serendipitously because the power was out that entire night. Earlier that day and then through the entire night, all the way up till 10 a.m. in the morning. Now, this ritual was remarkable, and it's funny that I was encouraged to do it right when the power went out because some power lines were basically knocked down from a storm, and it's very rare in this area for power lines to be down for that long. That's never happened all the years that I've lived here. But I was inspired to do an Odin ritual that night, and I happened to have a very large fire pit. It's probably about this wide in a circular formation. And, it's a really great fire pit. But I also had a lot of wood. There's a lot of trees around where I live. And there's a lot of branches that fall into my yard and backyard. So I had, 2 big piles of wood. So I grabbed my statue of Odin that I keep on my shrine. I took him out to the fire pit, put him on the edge. And then, I started the fire with a couple, easy light fire sticks and just a bunch of wood, put in the right order to make a fire. I know how to make a fire. And I ended up burning wood for about 5 hours. But the point of the ritual was, okay, once I had the fire going, I put the jalapenos and ginger onto the fire, into it, and then I placed sticks on top of it and allowed the sacrifice to kind of draw up to the astral realm in a way. And as this fire went on, I had the feeling to just keep on putting more and more sticks and make it bigger and bigger, or keep on feeding it so it didn't die down. And as I did so, I hailed Odin, Alfadir Wordwolf, many times. And these are the 3 names I know him from that I've combined into a name that I relate to Odin through, based on the kind of his functions in relation to what I'm asking of him usually. So I've created this name, Odin Alfadir Wordwolf, which is actually 3 different names in one. But as I fed the fire, I imagined myself as I wanted to be. I imagined my connection to Odin and what I wanted from him, and the idea of asking him for true sight came into my head. And then I asked him. I said his name over and over and over again: Odin Alfadir Woodwolf, Odin Alfadir Woodwolf, on and on. And I also asked for true sight again and again. And I would gaze upon his statue, his idol, if you will, and there was just something about it that actually made it just animate. Right there on the edge of the fire pit, it just felt so alive, and I could have sworn I saw it move and look at me. And this was a remarkable experience. And as I talked to Odin, as I kept on feeding the fire and allowing it to grow, and I imagined all the ages of man and what we've been through and what I've been through as a person, and I saw the flame being fed for a purpose that is completely spiritual. The fire of man is fed by what we need not be for the sake of what we may become. Now, moving on, because I don't want to make this video too long. If you want to ask questions in regards to this ritual, few specifics, feel free to shoot it down in the comment section below. But I've been also working with Ares recently. Now you may think, okay, these are warrior gods. Are you a soldier? Do you fight? Are you in boxing or anything like that? And here's the thing about gods and spirits. While I've had my time in martial arts, I've never been a soldier. I've never been on the battlefield. But gods of war need not only be, or spirits of war need not only be the functions of physical combat in the general sense. Spiritual combat is also aided by these gods or spirits of war. So I've been working with Ares recently. Odin guided me to Ares, and I would like to outline a ritual that I've done every day for a few weeks now in relation to Ares that I kind of got inspired to do, but isn't based on anything that I've read anywhere. Now, of course, I recognize Ares. He's a guardian of Thrace. He's a lord of vultures. His steeds are strife and routes. He is a god of tactics and strategy and true glory. So I use these all in my own spiritual sense. I use that relationship with Ares in my own spiritual sense, on my own spiritual battlefield, if you will. But so when I get home every day for the last few weeks, what I'll do is I will light some frankincense on kind of a censer. I'll light a stick of frankincense. I'll let it burn, and then as that is burning, I'll take a tea light candle out and put it on the altar that I have, and I will also put a little bit of oil from this vial onto my finger and rub it on the tea light candle, and then put it back right in the center of the altar that I have for Ares right now. I will light that tea light candle, and I will say, Ares, guardian of the sacred flame, I offer this oil and this candle to you, that you may teach me strategy and tactics. And I say, in relation to what I want, and when it comes to strategy and tactics, very, very warlike, but also applicable to my situation. So I place that on the shrine, place that on the altar, or what have you. And I have an altar set up specifically for Ares right now, and I'll have an altar for another god or deity or spirit soon on this particular one, because this one is interchangeable. I have a few permanent altars that I keep around, but at any rate, so I also have a bronze cup of incense ash, of frankincense incense ash, and after I dab the candle and then light it, I'll put a little bit more oil on my finger, mark my third eye, and I've put the rune Algiz on my third eye. Algiz being protection, being the protection from the multiverse in a way, which is Elder Futhark oriented, Nordic oriented, which may not seem like it's connected to Ares, but everything is connected, but regardless. And I will mark my third eye with that, and then as the frankincense burns on another censer, I will periodically take that off and mark my third eye. Now, this may seem very complicated, but I was just inspired to do this. And also, I will burn small pieces of white sage and put it into a shell and kind of use a feather to put that smoke around the totem that I created for Ares. And I will also waft it towards myself, asking for knowledge of strategy and tactics for a particular thing, for a particular area of life. Now, all of these pieces I didn't get from anywhere besides being inspired to do them. You can do the same thing. You don't need to rely purely on the books of others, or what the traditional sacrifices or offerings are, or what a god usually gives aid in. You just have to rely on your own intuition and your own connection to that god, that spirit, or whatever being you're trying to connect to. Use your own inspiration. Do not be afraid of it. That is intrinsic to crafting your own spiritual path. Because if you rely on somebody to be between you and God, between you and a spirit, between you and a god or goddess, then you're taking yourself out of the equation and just hoping everything works out. Don't just hope everything will work out. Do the work, do the magic, do the relation to a particular god or spirit in the way that you are drawn to do. No matter what anybody says, your path is your own. Your path home is your own. Your path to absolute realization is your own. Your path to strength and even glory is your own. Don't let somebody take that away from you by shoving a rule book in front of you and telling you have to follow this, because that's ridiculous. There need not be a rule book, because if there was, then none of those books would have been written in the first place. Those were just people who were inspired and then wrote down their practices, and then their followers expect you to follow them. Now, last night's Odin ritual left me with a sense of true sight. Now, I do the Aries ritual. I've been doing that for a few weeks every day. It's just a small ritual, a small marking of the third eye, small prayer here and there, and sage burning and a candle, of course. But the Odin ritual, I burned wood for about 5 hours, and it was just, I felt really connected to Odin, because I was feeding my own path. I was feeding my connection to the multiverse, and I was feeding Odin so that he would teach me and give me true sight, spiritual sight, being able to see past material, past all the BS that we encounter in this world. I'm still this day reeling from that effect. I still feel that effect on me, and I hope this true sight lasts for even longer than it has. And I'd highly recommend, just the basics of whatever you feel Odin wants, sacrifice that. And then, I'm vegan, so maybe Odin's like, okay, well, give me peppers and ginger. For you, it might be different. Maybe he wants you to buy him a steak or something like that. But I felt like the offering was accepted. I felt life in the idol. And the fire seemed to give me all the guidance that I needed as I stared into it and fed it. Just like a spiritual path. You feed your spiritual path, and it feeds you and everyone around you in return, assuming you want to share the love. So, this true sight that I've gained, within the last couple of days, because I did the ritual last night, I expect that I need to renew it. I don't think that it'll be permanent, but I have been feeling all the locks on the different parts of my life that I thought were completely inaccessible to me because I didn't have the key, opening. I hope that you can find the same thing in your own spiritual path. I hope that you can find a ritual within yourself that you feel a god, goddess, or spirit wants, assuming that you have found gods and spirits that you are very close to. My two patrons are, of course, the Divine Mother Kalima and Odin, Alfa-Dir, the word Wolf. But you might be drawn to other gods or spirits. That's okay. But what you always need to do, in whatever spiritual path you follow, you have to use your own intuition. That is the key to advancement. That is the key to spiritual progress. So thank you very much for watching. If you like this video at all, hit that thumbs up down there. It really helps out the channel. If you want to leave a comment that you agree with this, you disagree with this, or you're asking a question, feel free to do so in the comment section below on YouTube. If you want to support me on Patreon, I would greatly appreciate it, because, I don't have a lot of donations at this time, but I would love a little bit of help in supporting, the work that I do and giving, a better presentation to you through technology and rituals and things like that. So if you want to support me on Patreon, feel free to do so at www.patreon.com/darkrealist, capital D, capital R. And just donate $1 a month, and I write things on there that you get, you get a little extra that's not on my YouTube channel. And every now and then I'll share a video that I only share on Patreon. And also, for just $1 a month, you support the work that I do. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see all of you on my channel in the future. But also, I hope that you find yourselves. Please find yourselves. Thank you.